the new look next.
Here's the thing. So they're playing a few good teams. They're playing mostly bad teams on this stretch here, but it's over a quarter season now that they have just been this suffocating defense that as more and more people start to assess it, there's no real answer to go at this defense. I mean, the Nets tried punching up a bunch of threes. It didn't really work. Most of them were pretty well contested. You can't go into the paint. There's no escaping, I guess, unless the Celtics got in like really bad foul trouble or a team just shot unimaginably from three. There's no real answer to go at this defense. So I'm reaching the point with this scheme that they have, and especially when they're at full health. We'll see what happens if a guy or two goes down. They obviously didn't look great against Detroit last week. But when this group's fully intact and they're running these defensive rotations, I don't know who's going to beat them in the East. Like, I just, who's going to solve this? Who has the shooting? Who has the inside presence? And even if you do have the inside presence, you're going against these two bigs and these guys that can really defend the paint, Robin Horford, and all this length. This is a team that could really win the East. Like, it's been too long at this point.
So, Bobby, you have officially drank, swallowed, consumed, gargled, whatever you want to call it.
All in on the Kool-Aid.
Gargled.
Yeah, I mean, everything's just cooking. They're killing teams.
You get that green drank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you nitpick right now?
And Bobby, you said I was going a little too green for you a couple weeks ago.
I'm with you, Josue. You were right.
Listen,
I don't know, man. I think your shade's a little too green for me. I don't know. We'll talk about it though. What's up, Jimmy?
I'll be honest. I'm starting to turn the corner too. I'm not at Bobby Manning peak level of fandom right now, but I will say that I am a much more believer in this team than I was like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, and they are continuing to trend in the right direction. Now, again, I know we want to see them beat more legitimate teams, I think, or teams that have their full roster on them. So
they've beaten Denver. They've beaten Philly by 50.
Yeah, they beat Philly by 50 without their full roster, though. So again, like, I want to see a team's full roster. I'm not knocking the wins. I want to see them beat other better teams. That being said, I'm happy with the way they are winning based on the teams they're playing. So
they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and to me, and that's the thing that remember.
And they weren't doing that before.
Season. They weren't doing that before. No, they were basically either losing to bad teams or letting teams that they should just absolutely should be beating the snot out of, beat them, or at least take them to the brink of defeat. And now it's just like they're looking over at Brooklyn and they're just like, no Kyrie, no Kevin Durant, no Ben Simmons. This is no contest. We're about to whip their ass. And Marcus Smart, took 6 shots and he made 5 of them. And damn near every shot he took was like a nice in rhythm shot. And that's really the thing about this team and again, their defense has been good all year. But what they're doing now is they have put teams in a position where you can't even run pick and roll and get a matchup that's going to be in your favor. Like literally when your point guards are running pick and roll and they get switched out and they got to deal with Rob Williams, that's not as big a mismatch as you would want it to be when your point guard is matched up against the center. When you run the same thing and you get Al Horford, again, not nearly as big a mismatch as you would want it to be when one of your supposedly fast, speedy players has a big on him. And because of that, you're able to win and compete and fight and get a lot of missed shots. And even when your bigs get switched out on like a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, they're right now, they're so locked in to knowing where their help is coming from that they're never really beat, even when they're outmatched. There were multiple possessions where guys on Brooklyn had the ball, realized they had a mismatch, made a move, and by the time they got to the spot, they were the spot before the spot where they could shoot. There was somebody there. And so then they had the reason.
They pick up rebounds so well.
Yeah, their help defense has been amazing.
If a guy gets caught and all of a sudden a guy's open, someone rotates right over. It's seamless at this point. And I was talking to Smart about it at shoot-around today, just the second level and third level help that you talk about there, Sherrod. The guys showing up on the second and third sides. That's what Smart talked about, is making this group so special. There's always someone in position to take over. And you think of like, how much did we complain about that switching early in the year? And it's like, oh, are they switching too much? Is our guys going to get this? And now it's just like in their sleep, they're in the right positions. Even Rob, who I didn't think was that great today, had a big impact.
But the problem with their switching earlier this year was they were literally switching everything and switching before they even needed to switch. And you're watching this and you're just like, dude, fight over that weak ass screen and stay with your man. You don't got to switch every damn thing.
Yeah.
And they figured out, like, really the last month, we don't need to switch everything, but when we do switch, we know who needs to switch, and we know where the help for that switch is going to, for the person who's switching is going to come from. I mean, it's like, it's crazy how in sync they have become defensively to the point. And again, you don't have any mismatches when teams run pick and roll. And
I've
I can't recall the last time I've seen a team that locked in defensively that had guys that had that ability to pretty much hold their own against any and every matchup that they have. I mean, the Philadelphia game to me was the greatest example we've seen this year of them just simply knowing their personnel. And the crazy part about that is the guy who I think is the best switcher on the team, Rob, didn't even play.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
think of the great defenses Jimmy just way. Like the one that comes to mind is 08. And I don't remember that year like game in and game out, but this has got to be approaching that point. What this group's doing, I mean, they are miles ahead of the number 2 defense in the league since
Gerard, stop
Christmas.
him.
That's 2 whole months.
Gerard,
I
stop
mean,
him.
There's just.
Don't let him.
Well,
Don't
what is,
let him.
have they put no one for
it's a
2
different.
months?
It was a different era, but
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
We can't.
Bobby,
We
to
can't
your-
keep
you
talking
don't- you
about
don't
they
have to
haven't played anybody and they have. Oh, it's been lighter and they've had. It's been 2 months. We're talking about like half the year at this point that they've been the number 1 defense, miles and miles ahead of anyone else. And as Ime predicted, and when he said this, I wasn't sure about it. He said, I think when we start to pile up stops and we get out and run and stuff, we'll be a top 5 offense or a top 10 offense too. And they've been that on the streak. It was statistically. I don't know if they're actually a top 10 offense, but what it says is if you keep doing this on defense, you can play like a top 10 offense. And that's essentially what they've done. And that's a championship team.
That's
Top 10 defense, top 10 offense.
That's the identity of this team. If you put it blankly, I mean, that's exactly what it is, and that's what we're seeing. But I mean, to your point earlier, Bobby, about this team winning the East, like, is that enough against the powerhouse teams? The Philadelphia 76ers. Like, I like the way they match up against Philly, but we still haven't seen what they look like with the James Harden in the mix. Which let's face it, by the way, it's going to be a long series because if these two teams meet, we're talking about 40, 45, 50 free throw attempts between Embiid and Harden. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. Yeah. Like, how is that team like defensively? How does that? How do the Celtics counteract that? It's going to be tough.
Well,
I mean, but that's just one example.
But I'm not as worried about that as I think a lot of people are, and here's why. Those guys are so good that they're going to draw attention. The way that those guys have been able to be effective is that they're able to find that balance between drawing attention, getting the ball out to guys who can make shots versus getting the ball back and doing their own thing. Philadelphia ain't got no shot makers now. I mean, freaking Matisse Thybulle is like one of their top options. And I love Matisse Thybulle, but he can't shoot. I would take Jimmy's jump shot. I take Jimmy's jump shot over Matisse's jump shot. And that's saying something. That is saying something.
I hold my own out there.
I want to see what Harden has like. It was interesting.
That's enough slander for one show.
That's Jimmy's favorite comment of the year. He loves it.
A very skinny looking Harden appeared at Philly practice day, which is just unreal. I don't know how he transforms his body on a dime.
Oh, that's motivated Harden. That's motivated Harden.
The break, shed it off, whatever he did.
Long hours in the sauna will do you guys wonders.
Hey, listen, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like, I think the Celtics match up well against a team like that. But it's all about the path through the playoffs, right? If this team is going to make that deep playoff run, my worry, honestly, is home court. I mean, that's honest. That's realistic for this team right now. But we got to wait and see. I mean, I think that would be huge for the Celtics.
I'll tell you what home court's not going to bother.
Let me say something.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
We're going back and forth on whether or not the Celtics are better or not than this team. The real thing we should be talking about is the fact that they're competitive with these teams now. They weren't even competitive with these teams a month ago. So that's the real
There's no one you're afraid of, is there?
Not right now. Not really, no.
I do.
Two months ago, I didn't even know if they're going to make the damn playoffs. So that's the difference with this team. Like, and they are still trending in that direction. Yeah, we understand they haven't played the best competition, but they're beating the teams they have to beat the way they have to beat them. They can only play the schedule. What's Bill Belichick always say? Listen, we don't make the schedule. We just play the schedule. Control what you can control. You can't be looking at the schedule and saying, "Oh, this win doesn't matter," or this win matters less than the other win. Play the games as they come, and eventually you're going to play a good team, and then we'll find out who's real, who's fake, all that good stuff. So until then, you just gotta keep bettering yourself. If you're the Celtics, do what you got to do to make yourselves better, and then you'll be ready for the Bulls, the Heat, the Nets when they're healthy. And then we have a series, and we'll see what happens. Roll the ball out there. You can't tell me the way Tatum, Brown, and now Rob are playing. If they're on their game at the same time with the way the team plays defensively, that these guys can't go 7 with anybody.
So I was just in the
They have
pressure
to
with
play their
Ime.
best though. They're not gonna win on out-talenting the team. They have to play harder than the other team. That's the difference.
You know what? See, Jimmy, this is the thing, Jimmy. I don't think they have to play their best to beat some of these better teams, and here's why: their defense isn't going anywhere. That defense is going to be rock solid, and they could have a crappy night shooting the ball. Like, I would not be surprised if they have a playoff game or two where they win and shoot less than 30% from the field. I think their defense is that good. Less than 30. Their defense is that good.
No, it's not.
Jimmy,
I don't know about
their
that.
defense is that good. Their defense is that
You know what's
good.
gonna happen,
You know
Jimmy?
why?
You know what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen, Jimmy? They're gonna shoot 33, and Sherrod's gonna be like, "See," we're gonna be like, "Nah, that's not what you said, man."
Yeah, you said I want to see 29.5 on that damn
29.4.
That would have to be.
I'm
historic.
calling 34%.
Don't forget that's
34%
going to be
that.
against a playoff team, man. That's not going to be against the freaking Magic. So,
but your point is valid. Your point is valid.
I get your point.
They're good. They're that good. They're that good defensively.
So that's what
They have been getting away with wins like that when they haven't shot well. They already have been. The difference is going to be you're now playing playoff teams in a 7-game series. So while I don't expect those guys to be on their game night in, night out, they're going to need to bring in. Someone's going to need to score on that offensive end, and we know that they aren't the deepest team in the league, not even close. So somebody's going to have to take over at some point.
Yeah,
they're committed to defense now, and
Totally.
a commitment that was not there earlier this season. And because of that commitment, even when they shooting like crap, I still think they've got a shot to win because again, they understand finally you don't win at a high level unless you defend the hell out of the ball. Unless you have 3 of the top 5, top 6 scorers in a game, you're going to need to defend at a high level night in, night out. And that's what they're doing. Even when they don't play great, they're going to find a way to compete and win. And I think they're going to have a game where they win a playoff game shooting 30% or less.
I'll let Bobby and Joseph. I know they have my time. I just want to say one last thing. Sherrod, good offense always beats good defense. So that's all I'm saying. Like
that's not true.
That is always true in the NBA. Yes,
that is not true, Jimmy.
Good offense beats good defense.
Do you know why? Do you know why?
I knew that wouldn't be the last thing said. Go ahead.
Jimmy, the teams that have won championships have been top 10, top 15 defenses.
And where they better on offense?
As much as their defense led them to be better.
Best. Yeah, they're not number one.
Their defense was ridiculous.
Yeah,
their defense was ridiculous.
Bobby, what did Ime say?
Come on.
We'll get back to this. Hold on.
Ime talked about that. The fact that
you talking about the Warriors defense?
No, he didn't talk about them being at their best every night, which is kind of what Jimmy was talking about right there. But he talked about the fact that he knows what they're going to get out of them every single night now. And that's the defense, the pace that we're starting to see this team play with now, and the ball movement, which was just ridiculous tonight, the way the ball was flying around different times. So I like the parallels of what he was saying early in the year, calling them out, challenging their mental focus. He essentially said that this is a really mentally focused team tonight to come out of break and do this and be this reliable. I mean, he barely has to worry about what he's going to get from them now. And so to what Sherrod said, when you have a defense that is this reliable, and it's not like shooting where you're going to have good nights or bad nights. It's just the effort and the connectivity on that end that you have to lock in on. Like, that's such a solid groundwork for a team. Like, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't matter who you're going to play.
Right. And it's a team defense. It's not like you've got a Marcus Smart, a Tony Allen, a James Posey, and you got 6 and 7 of those type guys. You've got solid defenders with good length, move the feet laterally
Grant.
well.
Team defense is
Derek White.
It is. It absolutely is. I mean, Grant Williams is not going to get any Defensive Player of the Year votes. Yet he has been a very solid defender out there.
one of the most stunning things of the year, Rob was out for that Philly game. Grant stepped in, and they still held Philly to
They
the
beat.
lowest field goal percentage of any team this year.
And remember,
Yeah.
Embiid did not make a field goal until like halfway through the second quarter. He made a
Yeah.
bunch of free throws, but you can live with that because when you make free throws, you got to earn those points. You literally have to earn those points. Embiid
I
didn't
think
make a shot
Yeah.
until about 6 minutes in a second.
people around the league have to wake up to what's going on here. And I've heard national people talk about it. I mean, this is really, really special what they're doing on that end of the floor over an extended time now. And that's what makes me think, why not? Why can't they win the East? Like, what are you
Well,
nitpicking at this point? What's not
this is
there?
this is what it is, Bobby. It is, in my opinion,
What's not
yes.
there?
If you have a top defense, that goes a long way. It does. It creates a foundation. But in the best of seven series, you know you're gonna get the team with the better players, better overall players are gonna get the call, the benefit of the doubt, and probably gonna win the series. Now you look at the Celtics offensively though. They have two premier scorers in Tatum and Brown. I mean, two guys that at any given night can drop 40, 50 points. I mean, when you have that foundation on defense and two guys like that are capable of going off, you know, especially on the big stage, and someone like Tatum who just did it last season against the Nets. I mean, it puts the Celtics in a really good spot to go deep into the playoffs. Now, to Sherrod's point, the reason why I'm not going to go on a limb and say this team can win a championship is because whoever's waiting for them on the other side of this scenario, them going into the NBA Finals, I don't like that matchup for them. But you know, I'm not going to say this team. If that happens, then it's a failure. This team would overachieve by a mile if that were to happen. No question.
Well, the thing about this group, Josue, is this: they as I think we all agree that they can compete with any and every team in the Eastern Conference. There's no team that they should look at and say, "Ooh, I don't know if we can beat them." But having said that, and we all know this to be true, there are certain levels that teams take their game to when the playoffs arrive. There are teams in the Eastern Conference
Another
right now
thing.
that are ahead of them,
Yeah.
that I'm concerned. If you're the Boston Celtics,
Miami.
I would be concerned that they're going to take their game to another level because the Celtics defensively have been amazing. I don't know how much better they're going to get than what we've seen now because this is about as good as we've ever seen teams defend. I mean, I covered the Detroit Pistons back in 2004, and this defense that the Celtics are playing right now is on par with that defense, and that defense was insanely sick. This defense is just as good. I don't know how much better they're going to get, but when I look at the Miami Heat, when I look at the Milwaukee Bucks, when I look at possibly the Sixers, I do see the potential for them to get significantly better on the offensive end of the floor. And if that were the case, how is that? How is this Celtics defense going to basically counter attack that? Those are my big concerns when I look at them as a possible team that could go deep into the playoffs. How are they going to handle the adjustments that those other teams ahead of them are going to make? Because again, they're playing out of this world basketball right now, and Ime, Marcus Smart, Tatum, they all deserve a big fat piece of the blame pie for this team's growth.
Mhm.
But when you get to the playoffs, and teams are going to, as Josue pointed out, they're gonna get calls that they normally don't get. You're going to get guys who are going to play better than they normally do. And can the Celtics hold their own when these other teams step their game up? I don't know.